Today we witnessed what I believe to be the most disgusting display of the Trump administration so far, with the arrest of California Senator Alex Padilla, a man who was doing his job by speaking out against this authoritarian regime on behalf of his constituents in California, and was met with brutal force, thrown to the ground, and arrested by Donald Trump's thugs. Now, right after he was released from this gross detainment, he immediately got back to doing his job, as we would expect from such a brave senator, calling out Donald Trump, and this administration is panicking. So much so, they sent Kristi Noem on Fox to lie about it, and that is all blowing up in their faces. We're going to get into it all, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to subscribe to this channel, it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now let's check out Alex Padilla immediately responding to Donald Trump, and then we'll see the lies of Kristi Noem that got called out.
I'm Senator Alex Padilla. I have questions for the Secretary, because the fact of the matter is a half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your heads off.
How many of our ICE agents have been doxxed for doing their duty, how they have been targeted.
I'm here in Los Angeles today, and I was here in the federal building, in the conference room, awaiting a scheduled briefing from federal officials as part of my responsibility as a senator to provide oversight and accountability. While I was waiting for the briefing with General Guillot, I learned that Secretary Noem was having a press conference a couple of doors down the hall. Since the beginning of the year, but especially over the course of recent weeks, several of my colleagues, have been asking the Department of Homeland Security for more information and more answers on their increasingly extreme immigration enforcement actions. And we've gotten little to no information in response to our inquiries. And so I came to the press conference to hear what she had to say, to see if I could learn any new additional information. And at one point, I had a question. And let me emphasize, just as we've emphasized the right for people to peacefully protest and to stand up for their First Amendment rights, for our fundamental rights. I was there peacefully. At one point, I had a question. And so I began to ask a question. I was almost immediately forcibly removed from the room. I was forced to the ground, and I was handcuffed. I was not arrested. I was not detained. I will say this. If this is how this administration responds to a senator with a question, if this is how the Department of Homeland Security responds to a senator with a question, you can only imagine what they're doing to farm workers, to cooks, to day laborers out in the Los Angeles community and throughout California and throughout the country. We will hold this administration accountable. And we'll have more to say. We'll have more to say in the coming days. Let me say just briefly in Spanish as well.
Such incredible bravery from the senator. Such incredible bravery. I am so proud of the fight that we have seen from so many, hundreds of thousands, millions across Los Angeles, across the country, standing up to this regime, fighting for their communities, fighting against a felon who wants to talk about criminals. Really? Your administration is full of them, and you're full of it, and it's gross. That's exactly what we saw from the Botox-filled face of Kristi Noem going on Fox to lie about this. Take a look, and then we're going to call her out.
Now you've got a Democratic senator storming a press conference of the DHS secretary, going into a scuffle with law enforcement. What's wrong with these people? You don't behave like this. This isn't how a senator's supposed to behave. You're supposed to have some sort of decorum. And you wonder why there are riots in Los Angeles. You've got members of Congress, elected Democrats, modeling this kind of behavior. You can just storm a building. You can storm the ICE agents. You can storm the DHS secretary.
Them. Secretary.
Well, he was never arrested. And nobody knew who he was when he came into the room creating a scene. He was removed from the room, and yes, they started to put handcuffs on him when he finally identified himself, and then that was stopped. They said he wants to talk to you. I said, sure, I'd love to sit down and visit. So
the man was thrown to the ground as he said, "I am California Senator Alex Padilla." He didn't identify himself. You didn't know who he was? Are your ears also full of Botox and filler, Kristi? Or do you have little bits of dog hair in there from when you took, pork chop or whatever the kid's name was out back? Serious. I just don't even know what to say anymore. This is insanity. This is gross. I don't want to hear Kristi Noem's lies on Fox. It's terrible. Thankfully, we saw more senators respond right away, calling out these lies. Senator Adam Schiff, Senator Cory Booker, Senator Chris Murphy, all responding. I want to take a look at some of what they had to say right here.
Now, I understand that my Republican colleagues are going to need some time to gather the facts, but we already have a statement from the Department of Homeland Security that has accused Senator Padilla of being disrespectful, as if that is a rationalization for violence. Watch the video. Even if you believe that he was disrespectful, and given the times, that is certainly in the eye of the beholder, that never justifies what we saw on that video. Throwing anyone, never mind an elected representative of the people, to the ground to be handcuffed. They say that he didn't identify who he was, and yet watch the video. He clearly states, "I am Senator Alex Padilla." They're going to spin this, but I'm begging my Republican colleagues, don't let them do it. Protect our ability as servants of the people to speak up for the people that we represent. Make sure that we do not normalize this kind of violence simply because the White House doesn't agree with people who dissent. If this is how a United States senator can be treated, then none of us ultimately are immune. If this is how a United States senator can be treated, none of our constituents are safe. This is a test for the country, but this is a test for the United States Senate as well. I yield the floor.
I never thought I would imagine having to stand here and discuss what I saw today. A United States senator in his own community, in the city in which he grew up, elected under the authority of the people, stepping forward to get answers to legitimate questions. And we see him being thrown to the ground after being removed from a room forcibly and put into handcuffs by multiple people. This, to me, is such an abuse of authority. It is a violent act, and there can be no justification of seeing a senator forced to their knees, laid flat on the ground, their hands twisted behind their back, and being put into restraints. If you see the video, at that point, he's not fighting, he's not pushing. But this is a pattern and a practice. This is not an isolated incident. I remind people that in my own community, in the city of Newark, we had a congresswoman and a mayor at a facility. The mayor invited into the gate, the Congress people invited into a conference room, and then the mayor asked to leave, who did leave, and then numerous agents run out to arrest that mayor. Now, the judge in this case said it was outrageous, reprimanded the Trump administration for the arrest in and of itself. We see time and time again with this administration trying to precipitate a response by the misuse and the abuse of force. This is more akin to authoritarian governments. When you see a democratic nation having their executive begin to arrest mayors, begin to arrest judges, begin to arrest a United States senator who is simply asking for answers to their questions, to remove them from a room forcibly, to throw them to the ground, to put them in restraints. This is something that we should not tolerate. And by we, this is not Democrats and Republicans. This is we in this body. We have a constitutional obligation to provide oversight to the executive.
I just watched footage of our colleague, my California colleague, Senator Alex Padilla, being forcibly removed from a briefing by the Secretary of Homeland Security's staff. He went there to observe and to ask questions, and I watched with horror on this video, seeing these agents grab my colleague, my fellow senator from California, grab him, push him out of the hearing as he was identifying himself as a U.S. senator, bring him into a hallway, bring him down to the ground, bring his arms behind his back. I saw this happen to my colleague, and I am shocked by how far we have descended in the first 140 days of this administration.
This is exactly the type of fight and fearlessness and bravery that we need. I have felt for too long that the people who elected our Democratic members of Congress have been doing more than the actual elected officials, that our leaders have not been meeting this moment, that they've been mostly standing on the sidelines. Now, there's some exception. Chris Murphy, Jasmine Crockett, these are people who have been fighting. Senator Booker, but not enough. Today, that better change. Senators are being arrested. Alex Padilla was fighting, and he got arrested. Be like him. Please. We need every Democrat to do so. There's no more standing on the sidelines. Get out there and fight. Please. We're going to be doing so on this show every single day. If you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around at the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. Until next time, I'll see you soon.